Ever since I was a little child, my favorite superhero was Spider-Man, and because of that I'm glad to take you throughout my journey of getting all 78 achievements that this game has to offer. Hope you guys going to enjoy it, and I also finally bought a new mic so you can tell me in the comments how it sounds. But without further ado, let's get right into the achievement grind. First step on our list is to complete the main story. Story starts with Peter waking up to police crime alert about Fisk Tower. So he pops some toast, slips into his suite, and within seconds we are swinging into action, ready to take on Fisk. When we arrive before Fisk Tower, we are introduced to our first enemies. After a quick tutorial fight with them, we find ourselves in the Fisk Tower where we need to get to the Fisk. So we beat some more enemies, dodge some more rockets, and get rid of Fisk's fake police. Inside Fisk office we get into the fight with him. In order to defeat him, we just need to dodge his attacks, web him and attack him back. After about 5 minutes, we manage to defeat him and hand him over to the police, unlocking us our first achievement, knocking down Kingpin. Next in the story we are introduced to Oscorp's surveillance towers, which we need to get back online by doing this short minigame where we need to match a frequency. Once activated, we can see our surrounding area on the map as well as nearby crimes and collectibles which we need to get later for another achievement. We are also introduced to one of the many crimes that we will need to complete, and shortly after that we find our first of many collectibles. Next thing that we need to complete for another achievements are all sorts of bases. These bases are just places where we have to fight against several waves of enemies. First base that I was tackling was Fisk construction site, where I got my second achievement for completing 10 perfect dodges. After completing this base, I decided to swing around the city and hunt down some more collectibles. For collecting 5 backpacks I got Lost and Found achievement, and for crafting my first upgrade I got the Scientific Method achievement. On Aunt May's surprise party for 5th year of volunteering at Feast, we get distracted by Yuri, who tells us that there's something going on at the Fisk Museum. Once there, we slither our way inside, where we see some guys in demon masks bullying somebody about the file. We also find there MJ, who tells us that she is here for the scoop to use for the Daily Bugle. While she was interviewing the guide, she stumbled across an old statue that has a secret compartment within it that unveils a document about something called Devil's Breath. But then the bad guys came and wanted the file for themselves. Back to present, we are going to help MJ get out by kicking some demons' ass. Everything doesn't go according to plans. The demons find MJ and take her file, but on the brighter side, we are there at least to save her. After the fight with them, we take one of their masks with us so that we can study where it came from and hopefully learn something more about the gang. Now that I finally have some free time, I decided to take down second base, where I managed to complete all bonus objectives, and for that I got Ace the Base achievement. Next on our objective is to take down a shocker who has escaped and now is stealing a lot of money from the banks. After a quick chase sequence with him, we catch him and hand him over to the police. But before going back to Feast, where we can get more information about the demon mask from the owner of the establishment, Mr. Martin Lee, who has a degree in art history, I accidentally got 2 more achievements. First for achieving a combo of 100, and second for completing a level 1 combat benchmark. But now back to Martin Lee. He told us that the mask is a replica of a Chinese opera mask and that the symbol inside means demon. He also told us that this mask could be connected to very dangerous people and that we should be very careful. How ominous. Whilst doing our day job with Dr. Octavius, his workplace is suddenly shut down by none other than Norman Osborn, Peter's best friend's dad, who is also the mayor of the city, and it definitely appears like he's doing it on purpose to keep his former business partner and competitor behind him. After this incident, we are introduced to Harry Osborn's research stations, who we haven't seen in a while because he's apparently on a trip in Europe or something like that. Long story short, we need to complete all of these stations for another achievement later on, but now we have a worse problem. Yuri tells us that Shocker has escaped and now is robbing the bank again. Just like with Fisk's fight, we just need to dodge all of his attacks and then attack him back. With that, we beat him by dropping the entire ceiling on him, and for that we get Shock and Awe achievement. Next we get echo that something fishy is going on in Fisk's warehouse on the docks and that the demons are after Fisk's vault. When we get there, we take care of Fisk's guys who are guarding the place. While I was doing it, I got Winged achievement for traversing across the city rooftops and King of the Swing achievement for completing a level 1 traversal benchmark. With the help of Jefferson Davis, who is a police officer and father of Miles Morales, we find the Fisk's hidden basement. But we are too late. The demons have already raided the entire basement. In the big chase with one of the trucks, we get nearly killed by a speeding lorry towards us. Luckily we get saved by Jeff, who crashes into the speeding lorry with his own car. After this we get back home with the hope of getting a little bit of sleep. But to our surprise we got evicted for not paying the bills. While we are looking for the new place to rest, we get a call from an old friend who tells us to go to a certain rooftop. On the rooftop we find the voice recorder from the Black Cat. After listening to it, we unlock new collectibles, which are cameras through which we need to find this cat plushie. For finding the first one, I got Cats Out of the Bag achievement. After taking a rest in Aunt May's office, we get back to Spidey job by unlocking yet another collectibles. For these collectibles, we need to catch all pigeons that got lost to Howard. Before going to the Jeff ceremony where he's going to receive an award from the mayor, we need to take care of more demons and also this helicopter that we need to chase down the city and stop it in this beautiful cinematic scene. However, the ceremony is starting soon and we can't be late. Start of the ceremony is going great. People are clapping, medals are given, speeches are given, and everything is going as planned, until a massive demon attack happens. Everything starts exploding and Peter passes out from one of the nearby explosions. Because of this we are now playing as Miles for the first time. As Miles we need to find our lost mom and dad. Firstly we need to find and rescue our mom from some rubble that has fallen on her. We also find out that the boss of the demons is Martin Lee. How surprising. Unfortunately when we find our dad it's too late and he is dead. After his funeral, the first act of the story is done, giving us Demons Emerge achievement. Now with a little bit of free time, I decided to activate last few surveillance towers that I was missing. For activating them all, I got Amazing Coverage achievement. Our next quest is to find some evidence on Martin Lee and on his involvement with demons because right now the police can't do anything with him. With the help of MJ, we find facility that he owns and that the demons are at. While I was taking care of them, I got Arachnophobia achievement for performing 75 stealth takedowns. Heading inside, we find plants, drug bombs, weapons, guns, and so on. When fighting with more demons outside, a new group makes their appearance called Sable International. This is when we meet Silver Sable. She is the leader of Sable Group, who are a private security force working with Osborn. After the introduction with her, we leave to find more evidence on Martin Lee. And what better place to look for an evidence than Martin Lee's office at Feast. Inside we find a secret room with all the evidence that we need, and we also find the file about the Devil's Breath from the start. So we take the file and head out. Swinging around the New York led us to someone called Taskmaster, who wants to study us by watching us complete his 4 challenges. By the way, I almost forgot, crafting 15 upgrades got me Science for the Win achievement. Now back to Taskmaster. He needs to wait for a while because we've got information that Martin Lee is going after Dr. Delaney, who knows who's working on the Devil's Breath. We try to save him at costume party he's attending. But as always, we are one step behind and because of that demons got to him first. Martin Lee then compels him to tell him who's working on the Devil's Breath and then makes him kill himself. After seeing this, we decide to raid the Oscorp's office itself to find some information about the Devil's Breath. We find out that the Devil's Breath is a side effect of something called GR27. The original GR27 was designed to fix genetic issues in humans, but as tests continued it became apparent that this was so contagious that it could cause a worldwide pandemic, hence the nickname Devil's Breath. We also find out that there's only one vial of this stuff always carried by super scientist Morgan Michaels. Back to real life, Dr. Octavius has finally excelled at his neural link limbs and he also reveals to us something about himself.
My doctors call it a degenerative neurological disorder. The worst part is, it only affects the muscles.
All this research is mostly for himself because he's losing the function of his body and he doesn't want to go out this way. Back to the streets, we get information that Dr. Michaels is being transported to safe location by Sable team. We decide to check on them to make sure nothing goes wrong. But as always, everything goes wrong. Martin Lee pulls up there in his big armored truck. Long story short, Martin steals the Devil's Breath, which isn't great, but on the positive side, at least Dr. Michaels is still alive. Before the next sequence with MJ that awaits for us, I decided to make quick stop at Octavia's lab and finish all the optional projects for a bit of a fixer proper achievement. Back to MJ. We arrive at Grand Central Station as she has heard that the demons want something here, in which she's very right as the Martin Lee immediately appears behind her. Things go wrong really fast as it turns out that they are here for a dispersal device that they need. After taking down enough demons with the help of Spider-Man, he instructs us on how to defuse the bomb which Martin has already started. We somehow manage to disarm it on our first try and save the hostages. Then as Spider-Man we manage to catch a train with Martin Lee. In the train we have a little fight sequence with him where in the end we push him into the controls that breaks. Without the controls we need to stop the train manually, which means we simply crash it above the ground. This works perfectly and with that Martin Lee is arrested. Hopefully we won't see him for a long time. Next we meet again with Dr. Octavius, who wants to show us something amazing. He's done it. The breakthrough has happened and he shows us his new arms, but there's a catch because testing pulls up some errors that could apparently really affect his brain. We tell him that he needs to step away and fix the issues before it permanently damages him. Octavius agrees with us until we leave and he turns it back on 20 seconds later when he sees Norman Osborn on the TV. His rage and anger are taking over him. Finally, after all of this, I have some time to tackle on some Taskmaster challenges. Starting on with Drone Challenge, and for completing it on Spectacular level I got Spy Hunter achievement. Also, after replaying it several times and finally completing it on Ultimate level I got Master's Education achievement. Next two achievements were for getting Spectacular level on his Bomb Challenge and on his Combat Challenge. But now the story goes from 1 to 100 as the Devil's Breath was stolen again, and at the very same time a mass prison break occurs. Somebody is trying to free every single villain that we have ever put away. We face off with many supervillains including Electro, Vulture, Rhino, Scorpion and Martin Lee again. We try to take them all down but they beat us. When we are trying to crawl to the safety, the last member of the Sinister Six appears. It is none other than Dr. Octavius. He warns us to stay away and then yeets us from top of the raft. We are then found floating in the water, and for that we unlock next achievement, the Six Assemble. With that the Act 2 is completed. Dr. Octavius goes full villain mode and releases Devil's Breath over Times Square. The disease immediately becomes a pandemic, Sable becomes in charge and forces checkpoints and camps all over the city. Osborn declares Spider-Man a criminal and blames him for the prison outbreak. However, all of this won't stop us from getting another achievement, which is yet another Taskmaster challenge. For completing his Stealth challenge on Spectacular level, I got Ninja achievement. But now we have serious things to do. We need to stop the Sinister Six. First on our list are Electro and Vulture. This fight is rather straightforward. We just dodge all of their attacks as always and then attack them back. With that, Vulture eventually falls down and Electro gets shocked out. For this we get our next achievement, Grounded. With two of them down, I decided to get two more achievements before tackling on Rhino and Scorpion. First was for maxing out one of the benchmarks, and second was for completing 10 vehicle takedowns. With these achievements out of the way, it's time for the Rhino and Scorpion fight. This time we need to use environment to stun Rhino whilst also dodging Scorpion's long range attacks. After rather intense fight, we lock them together in shipping container where they can fight themselves. With both of them down, we get our next achievement, Sting and Smash. Before the final fight with Dr. Octavius, we need to firstly take down Martin Lee again, who's on his way to get the Devil's Breath anti-serum. So we need to hurry up. MJ sneaks into the Norman's penthouse where she finds very important information. Firstly, that Harry isn't in Europe, but he's seriously sick and that the Devil's Breath should have been his cure and not the bioweapon. Secondly, she finds out that there's an anti-serum for the Devil's Breath and also the place where the anti-serum is located. And thirdly, she discovers the recordings of Martin Lee's origin. It turns out that Martin was experimented on in Oscorp as a kid in regards to his powers, and because of them he killed both of his parents. With all of this information, MJ gets out and accidentally takes a living present with her, another mutated spider. Now that we know where's Martin Lee going to be, we take our time and decide to get another two achievements. First for completing all faction crimes in a district, and second for maxing out all gadgets. With maxed out gadgets, it's time to take down Martin Lee once and for all. Once inside, we see Martin get his hands on the anti-serum, Dr. Michaels and Mayor Osborn himself. But before Martin can finish his job with Mayor Osborn, we interrupt him. As with every boss fight, we came out on top, and for that we get Staying Positive achievement. When we finally think that everything is over and we have the anti-serum, Dr. Octavius bursts into the room through the roof and not only gets away with the anti-serum, he also takes the mayor with him. God, we've been through a lot already, but now isn't time for slowing down because Aunt May is dying and we need the anti-serum ASAP. By the way, the spider that left with MJ unknowingly, it decided to bite Miles on the hand. I hope nothing bad happens to him. With everything out of the way, it's time for the endgame. To beat Dr. Octavius, we know we're going to need a new suit that can handle his 4 mechanical limbs. So we create the Antioch suit. As the rain falls down, Dr. Octavius ascends the Oscorp Tower and says goodbye to his former friend Norman Osborn. Don't worry, we saved him. This final battle is the most epic of the whole game with also a little bit of plot twist.
Such a disappointment. Parker. You knew? I tried to warn you, Peter, but you didn't listen. You knew.
After this, we fight on the side of the building for a while and nearly get killed by him while turning off his mechanical limbs.
Otto! If you want to change the world, you have to be the kind of man who can make the hardest decisions. I couldn't agree more. No!
With that, Dr. Octavius is defeated and we have the anti-serum. But the story isn't over yet, because there's only one vial of the anti-serum and the doctors need it to replicate so that they can save everybody in the city. However, the process will take a day. The problem is that Aunt May doesn't have a day. She's got an hour at the most. So for the sake of the entire city, we can't give the anti-serum to Aunt May. And honestly guys, just watch this.
You're gonna be okay, ma'am. I've got the cure right here.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
I never wanted you to worry.
I did. And I am so proud of you. And Ben would be too. All the people you've saved.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
With Aunt May dead and city saved, we just need to watch last 2 post-credit scenes. In first, Miles tells Peter his new secret, and second shows us that Norman is keeping Harry in some kind of big tank while he searches for a cure. With that, we unlock our last story-related achievement, Endgame. And with the main story finally out of the way, it's time for step 2, clean up. I'm going to fast forward through this step because we have whopping 25 achievements to get, starting with completing any enemy base without taking any damage for the Untouchable Spider-Man achievement. Next, for unlocking all skills, I got Superior Spider-Man achievement. Sometimes when we're walking through the city we have small chance to interact with people, and for interacting with 10 of them I got Spider-Man About Town achievement. Earlier in the game I unlocked fast travel but haven't used it till now. For using it 5 times I got Born to Ride achievement. Next achievement was for completing one of the many side missions in which we needed to locate people that were under Martin Lee's control and take them down. For completing it, I got Schooled achievement. In one of the bases, I managed to get Hug It Out achievement for knocking together 10 pairs of enemies with the trip mines. With all of this out of the way, it's time for the collectibles achievements mostly. Photographing all landmarks on the map got me Sightseeing achievement. Climbing to the top of the Avengers Tower got me Hero for Hire achievement, and chaining 4 unique tricks on the way down got me Sticky and Tricky achievement. For finding all Black Cat's plushies and then tracking down her bunker, I got new suit from her that I won't be wearing and Cat Prince achievement that we came here for. Completing all Harry's research stations got me R&D achievement. After completing all Taskmaster's challenges, I got Challenge Finder achievement, and immediately after that I got ambushed by Taskmaster himself. So we fought for a while, and after finally kicking his ass, I got Master of Masters achievement. For taking down each Sable outpost, I got Mercenary Tactics achievement, and that same goes for Fisk's hideouts, Prisoners camps, and Demon's warehouses. Catching all of Howard's pigeons got me Pigeon Hunter achievement, and for collecting all backpacks I got Backpacker achievement. Next I decided to complete last side mission in which I needed to take down Tombstone. For context, Tombstone has a disease that makes his skin invincible to everything. He's pretty much immortal. However, throughout the story we have actually found a cure that can even the playing field and make him much more mortal. So we found him, somehow gave him the cure and defeated him. This gave us Tombstone Takedown achievement and Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man achievement for completing all side missions. Now I just need to complete last few crimes. And after they are done, I got I Heart Manhattan achievement. However, we still have last 3 achievements to complete in the base game. Starting with purchasing 5 suits for Snappy Dresser achievement. Continuing with purchasing all other suits for a Suit for All Seasons achievement. And finishing with the best one, paying respect at Ben Parker's grave, with great power. And with that we're officially done with base game, which means it's time for step 3, DLCs. First DLC, The Heist, starts with MJ's monologue.
Mary Jane Watson, Associate Editor. Begin research notes. My sources are saying the Maggia is mounting a comeback. The old crime families were all but wiped out, until Fisk went away and they started filling the void. The old Dons were working harmoniously for years, but now that there's a power vacuum, there's bound to be a power struggle. It's only a matter of time before one of the families makes a move on the others. Better follow up with my sources in the Force. Hopefully we can stop this crime comeback before it even starts.
She tells us that one of the Maggia families is planning to steal a painting called the Maria from the art museum tonight. So we decide to swing by and see what's happening. While we're taking a closer look at the painting, the Hammerheads Mafia decides to break in this stealthy way. After taking them down, we go back to where the painting is, but now we have bigger problem. It turns out that Black Cat is also interested in the painting. She successfully gets it but then breaks it for a USB drive inside. With the USB drive in her hands, she ends up escaping, and that completes the mission, for which we get our next achievement, The Cat Came Back. Before searching for Black Cat, we firstly unlock new collectibles to get, which are paintings that the original Black Cat stole 20 years ago, and our job is to find them and give them back to Detective McKee. After tracking Felicia down, she reveals her motives for stealing the USB drives for the Hammerhead.
Then why are you stealing it?
If I don't, they'll kill my son.
We then tell MJ about the situation with Felicia and that we might be a father somehow.
You know that she and I dated for a while.
Yeah, so? Oh, are you serious?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
Next we come across Screwball, who is a live streamer and criminal with millions of followers. She uses us in her new show where we have to complete her challenges, for which we get more achievements later on. Speaking of achievements, I managed to get Disorganized Crime achievement for completing all crimes in the district. But now back to the story. It turns out that there are 5 USB drives. Long time ago, the Maggia families agreed to put all their assets in one place to keep the peace. The information to access it was then split into 5 USB drives between the families. Hammerhead hired Felicia to steal 4 USB drives that he doesn't have, so he can destroy other 4 families and be the only one who rules the city. By now Felicia has 3 of 4 drives, so we try to stop her, but we're late and she has the 4th one, which means it's time to chase her down across the city. When we finally catch her, we manage to convince her to stop her plans in exchange for helping her save her son. That ends the mission and we get Here Kitty Kitty achievement. Before finishing the story, I decided to get last 2 missing achievements. First was for completing all Screwball's challenges on Spectacular level for Screwy achievement, and second was for finding all stolen paintings for the Long Con achievement. Eventually we get a lead on where Felicia's son might be, so we work with her to save him. We were told that her son was supposed to be in this vault, but instead this happens. She used us to get the last 5th Hammerhead's USB drive. She also tells us that she's been giving Hammerhead fake drives and that now she has all 5 of them in her possession. When Hammerhead found out that he was betrayed, he wanted her dead. And that's where the first DLC ends, giving us By Felicia achievement and Seduced by the City achievement. Second DLC, titled Turf Wars, now starts with Yuri's monologue.
Captain Yuri Watanabe, situation report. Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, is missing, presumed dead. She had partnered with Magia Don Hammerhead to blackmail the other family's leadership. Hardy betrayed Hammerhead. Using appropriated Sable weaponry, he retaliated, aggressively. Both Hardy and the blackmail material were lost in his attack. Now Hammerhead is out for blood. Blackmail no longer an option. He's gone to the mattresses, hoping to eliminate the other Magia Dons by force. To do this, he's continued to appropriate the heavy arms Sable left when they pulled up stake. We've impounded as much of Sable's equipment as we can, but it may not be enough. It's an all-out gang war, and New York is caught in the middle. But we may have just gotten lucky. The Magia have Hammerhead pinned in the old Harlem sanitarium. If we can keep his men distracted, a small team may be able to infiltrate the building and take him alive. We've got one shot at this. We have to make it count.
Once inside, we find out that it was a trap. Hammerhead kills entire Yuri's squad and manages to escape, leaving us and Yuri only ones who survive. After this, Yuri will remain deeply traumatized. This ends the mission and gives us Pulling the Trigger achievement. Yuri needs some time off, so we promise her that we are going to catch Hammerhead. But things won't go exactly as planned. We learn that Hammerhead wants to abduct the other 4 Magia Dons and that he's after something known as Project Olympus. While we were distracted with other things, Hammerhead broke into the police precinct, which is where the Project Olympus, a Sable International weapon of some sort, was kept. Yuri, filled with anger, decides to take things into her own hands, which, as Spider-Man says,
This could not possibly end well.
this is also the end of the mission, which gives us Crossing the Thin Blue Line achievement. Also throughout the city, I once again managed to complete all crimes in the district, which gave me the Gang War achievement. Taking down all 4 Hammerhead's bases also gave me Prohibition achievement, and finishing all Screwballs challenges on Spectacular level again in Season 2 of her show got me Turning the Screw achievement. But back to the story. When we finally find Hammerhead, he's even more dangerous because he's now equipped with Project Olympus, which turns out to be a massive exoskeleton. Somehow we manage to defeat him, but before the police can arrest him, this happens.
Just the right moment.
This marks the end of second DLC, but don't worry, Hammerhead isn't dead yet because this happens in the post-credit scene.
Who says he's dead? Boss.
With that we get Steel Skull Glassjaw achievement and The City is My Family achievement. Now it's time for the last DLC, Silver Lining. This DLC starts with yet another monologue.
Mary Jane Watson, Associate Editor. Begin research notes. What started as a museum heist a few days ago has turned into a brutal assault on the city, and the casualties keep piling up. Last night, after almost killing Magia Don Hammerhead, Captain Yuri Watanabe was forced into administrative leave. Sources say she told the chief, "This won't stop me." Note, follow up on this later. Feels like this isn't the end of her story. Meanwhile, Hammerhead, who was pronounced dead at the scene, was revived and escaped custody. Police are searching for him, but there are no solid leads. His men are continuing to target Sable weaponry and vehicles, including something called Project Olympus. From what we can gather, Project Olympus is an Oscorp and Sable-funded initiative. Bioenhancement technology meant to transform people into indestructible super soldiers. Hammerhead is ruthless and insane, and now apparently indestructible. But first things first, figure out where Hammerhead is hiding. The question is, what are we gonna do when we find him?
Silver Sable is back in the town and she's not happy that Hammerhead is stealing her weapons. After a quick fight with her, we eventually managed to convince her to work with us. With the new partnership acquired, I got Frenemies achievement. Later on we managed to track down Hammerhead's location, but things once again don't go well for us. By now, thanks to the Olympus exoskeleton, Hammerhead has managed to turn himself into a full-on cyborg. When things look the worst for us, we get saved by none other than Black Cat. Felicia then apologizes to us for everything she's done to us and gives us one of the USB drives that'll help us to defeat Hammerhead, but Sable got captured by him, so we need to save her. But firstly, we have more achievements to get. For completing all Screwball's challenges for the third time on Spectacular level, I got Screwballed achievement, and I also finally managed to catch her, giving me Unplugged achievement. Next, I completed one side mission for the Wages of War achievement, and for collecting all Yuri's voice recordings, I got Unacceptable achievement. Last thing missing is to finish the story, so after saving Sable, we fight Hammerhead again for the last time. After melting his brain several times, Sable crashes her jet right into him, ending him for good. With that, we get last final scene where Spider-Man teaches Miles how to use his powers. And that ends the last DLC, giving me Terminated achievement and the City Sleeps achievement. But don't worry guys, we are not finished yet because we still need to complete step 4, New Game Plus on Ultimate difficulty. And here we are on the final fight of the game. I didn't show anything from this playthrough because it was basically all the same as the first playthrough. When I finish this boss fight, I should get last 2 achievements. Here we go one more time, and power and responsibility. With that, all 78 achievements are mine, and now it's time for the stats. For Marvel Spider-Man, it took me 39.6 hours to get all 78 achievements that this game has to offer. I'm giving this game again whopping 9 out of 10. Everything about this game was absolutely perfect, and I can't wait to play Spider-Man Miles Morales and also Spider-Man 2 when it comes out on PC one day. Unfortunately, for the same reason as with God of War, I need to take down Spider-Man 1 point because of the minor lags that I got during some cutscenes, but I'm starting to think that is mostly problem of my PC and not the game. Therefore, take these stats with a grain of salt. For the difficulty of the achievements, I'm going to give it 4 out of 10, with the hardest achievement being I Heart Manhattan because of so many collectibles and crimes that I had to do. With that, thank you so much for watching today's achievement grind. You may consider subscribing and liking, which will greatly help me in my YouTube journey. You can also leave a comment and maybe suggest me what game should I 100% next. That's all from me for now. Have a great day and see you next time.